Hey guys, Joe here. So it is Friday and it's just the afternoon. I'm heading to the bank to go wire some money. And so anyway, so this week, honestly, the bulk majority of my time has been spent on this stupid fence calculator, which is driving me insane. So, but that's okay. And then, but besides that, there is so much shit getting done. I think I talked about it in the videos, but I guess since this is like the weekly recap or whatever, one of the things, we'll call them displays, for the fence convention is like, I don't even know, probably like 70-80% done, so that's pretty good. Honestly, way further ahead than I thought we would even be, and like I didn't even do anything with it, so that's the better part. So between Cruz and the rest of the guys back there, just killing it. Cruz is the one that's basically like kind of like the catalyst for everything happening, and then he's using the guys to help get the stuff done. So right now they're actually in the process of taking all the at least for the one section, they're taking down all the, I think they already did it, all the samples and stuff like that. So all that stuff's coming down. There was things that were mounted onto the wall, that stuff's coming down, so that way next week we can start spackling the areas and then painting the walls as well. So we got all that going on. Like I said, the fence calculator. I'm trying to think what else. There's just been so much going on. So I think it's so easy to just get overwhelmed by everything. I know I do all the time, because it feels like there's so much shit that needs to be done. But then I was just watching a video from, it was a guy that interviewed or did the biography, Isaacson or whatever, that does all the big biographies and things like that. So he spent a lot of time with Musk, and they were talking about the one thing as far as, I think he had corrected himself. He was talking about how, he used to say how Musk was extremely good at multitasking, but it wasn't multitasking. It was actually that he was like hyper focused on tasks, but then he was throughout the day, because he had, I think he has either 6 or 7 companies. And so what he was able to do is like hyper focus on one task for one company at a time on things that like he had to do. And then he would have his team work on all the other stuff, obviously, right? And so we'd be super focused on the one thing, and then that's it, and then move on to the next thing, super focused on that, move on to the next thing. And I think with the way I'm blocking out the time, that's pretty much kind of like what's happening now. Obviously, I don't have multiple businesses, but there's multiple things to be done within the business that only I can deal with. So now it's like, having those blocks of time where it's like, I'm just doing that. So I think that's been pretty helpful. But that wasn't the point of the story. The point of the story, going back to like the pressure and everything else, and at first I was like, maybe it's a problem, but maybe it's not, right? And the one thing for him, for Musk, that keeps on pushing him is like getting to Mars. And so they were talking about this story where it was like Friday night, there was only like maybe 10 people at either the launch pad or whatever happened to be for SpaceX. And he went there, and I think it was right after, I think this was like the day that he got approval to buy Twitter. So the guy got approved to buy Twitter, and and obviously at a cost of billions of dollars. And then instead of like taking a break or relaxing, literally same day at that night, he's going to the launch pad or whatever. He's seen that there's only a handful of, I don't want to say developers, but whoever's, the employees for that. And so he ended up calling, and he's like, I want 200 people here tomorrow, right? And he's like, if we don't have this sense of urgency, we're never going to get to Mars, and we have to get to Mars. So he always has puts this urgency on himself, and then as a byproduct on everyone else as well. And it's like, at first I'm like thinking there's a problem with it, but it's like, is there a problem with it? But maybe it's the way I'm handling the pressure, or it's not even the pressure, it's like the difference between where I am versus where I want to be, kind of thing. And so maybe there's just a better way of handling that. But then the other thought was that, because my wife's like, I said something, she's like, well, just do it this weekend, or just do it then. And I was like, no, I'm doing it now. Because like yesterday I had to drop off my son to basketball practice, And I told her for like the next 6 weeks, I have so much shit that needs to get done that I just like, I'm going to be working all the time. It just is what it is at this point. And so yesterday, you know, I'm taking my son and she's like, are you coming back? I'm like, no, I'm going to work. And she's like, why are you going to work? Like, I'm going to be by myself. And I'm like, we talked about this. I'm not, like, for the next 6 weeks, like, I'm just going to be working all the time. I'm not planning to do this for the rest of my life, but like, I've already done these days, or it's not even days, I've done it for months and years before, where I'm working like no days off, 80 hours a week, physical labor and all this other kind of shit. So like, for me to say, okay, I got to do it for like the next 6, I'm okay with that. That being said, expense calculator is one example. There is probably a much faster way of correcting the problem. Now, that wouldn't be through actually developing another calculator, but what is another way, going back to Alex Hormozy mentality of more, better, new, right? So I skipped over better and just went straight to new, right? If more, as an example, is like, what is a way to put that calculator on multiple websites to hopefully like decrease the chance of something completely falling apart and then can't be able to use the thing? Or then the step above that is like, how can we make this better so that way it doesn't happen again, which the developer's not really involved anymore. So that's not really possible. And then instead I skipped right to new. What's this new thing I can do? And like, it's taken a lot of my time, but then again, there's a lot of shit that's getting done without me. So it's kind of like, is it needed for me to do this random shit? So that way I can keep on relying on my team more and more to like keep on pushing along, and like, cause I don't have to be involved for this stuff. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for most people is, now I think I got really lucky. It's not, I think, but with Cruz, like there's a lot of things that he's not going to be, this is a conversation I got to have with him, but it's not at this point in time, based on his age and just the way he acts and just through conversations and stuff like that, he's not going to be the guy that is my general manager and like oversees all the operations, because I don't think he really wants that. And especially at this stage of his life, he's not where he needs to be for that. Like, you know, he does a great job with the production team and stuff like that. But as far as like for the actual general manager, I don't think that's going to happen at this point in time. I think I need someone stronger for that. But anyway, but yeah, I think it's at this point. So going back to that sense of urgency is kind of like what I was talking about yesterday, I guess, is like at this point, I think I need to go and get a full body scan, because like there's so many health issues. I just don't know what's going on with me at this point in time. So, and I talked about it yesterday. Well, what happens if, because the way I've been acting or reacting to different things and stuff like that, well, what would I act like if I see a doctor just say tomorrow and they're like, you have 3 months left to live? At that point, like, what do I do, right? Or what are ways that how would I respond differently? How would I act differently and things like that? And honestly, when I was thinking about that, at that point, that sense of urgency is going to shoot through the roof, right? Because at that point, there's this time frame of, look, I got 90 days left. And maybe it's like 90 good days and then like you're just dead, right? And I guess it's a weird way to think, but it also helps me get in the right perspective or frame of mind, is that what if I have that conversation with a doctor in the next like 2 weeks and they're like, you're going to be dead in 90 days. You're good for 90 days and that's it. After that, you're either a vegetable or you're dead, right? And so for me, that sense of urgency is what needs to happen within the next 90 days to make sure that if I am not here on this planet anymore, that the business is going to be okay, the family is going to be okay, and things like that. So it's putting this different mindset in place, and it'll allow me to restructure or relist my priorities and things like that. Because like, right now, for the most part, like the team runs itself, and like it does well. Really, like they really do. That being said, that's with me being there and knowing that they can come to me if there's any questions and things like that. Because again, like, they're handling the day-to-day operations, but like that's only one little aspect of the business. It's really the rest of it, of between the software and the programs and you know, the marketing and the content and all this other kind of stuff that they're just not involved in. So it's like, what do I put in place to make sure it keeps on running when I'm not here, if and when I'm not here, right? So I think sometimes we got to put that sense of urgency. I think sometimes, like, even though we don't want to work anymore or work any longer or harder, we kind of have to, right? And we have to put that sense of urgency in. So, but anyway, that's where I'm at kind of so far. So like I said, I just pulled up at the bank. I got to make sure this, I got to go so that way they will, if it's past a certain time, the wire's shut down, so then I have to come back on another day, which is what happened yesterday to me. So I want to get this taken care of, but I hope you're doing well. I'll probably end up doing another video later today, but if I didn't, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and I hope you had a productive week. And if you could, let me know in the comments. Well, what didn't go well? You know, what was your biggest triumph? What was your biggest struggle? That kind of stuff. So, and then if there's anything that you would like me to talk about. So anyway, have a great day. See you. Bye. So I was gonna wait till I got out of the parking lot, but the line seems a bit ridiculous, or, you know, a line of traffic or whatever. So anyway, this is my Friday end of the day update. More than likely, this will probably be the last one. Cars would stop coming. So since the last update, when I went to the bank, or I was going on the way to the bank or whatever, I actually came back, and so within an hour, I was probably gone for like an hour. So from the time I left and came back, they had literally all the, I think all the displays and everything else pulled out of the showroom. So at this point, it is like completely bare. They got most things off the wall. So over the weekend, I got to go get the paint and the spackle and all that kind of stuff, and they're going to start messing with that. The other thing is, like, Cruz had showed me right before he was leaving, he showed me some pictures. So I didn't get to see them. Hold on one second. Hello.
Are you almost home?
Yeah, just left. I'm at the circle. So like 8 minutes or something.
I'm not sure what's going on with this one, but he is not stable.
Well, it's not the greatest thing to say.
Well, he's literally losing it.
Okay. Well, he's probably nervous, I guess. I don't know. All right, I'm almost there. So yeah, Mike, you're gonna have to edit that out, or not, and just leave it in, because it's a normal conversation that I will have with my wife on the way home. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic at home. So anyway, so Cruz showed me, I didn't get to see it in person, but for the fence convention, I really wish I could start talking about this stuff, but it's like a month away, and I don't want the other suppliers to know like what we're doing. So, but anyway, the second display that the guys made, it looks so nice. And again, like, the crazy part is, if I would have, last year at like this time, if I would have even looked forward to, I don't even think, I'm trying to think back then I knew Cruz was, like, he couldn't just keep on doing panels. I knew there was just more that he could do just based on the conversations, and him always like, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that? But as far as this, and it's not just him, like, but he's the one that like spurs everything. So it's like, hey, for me, it's like, hey, we need this, right? And for the, like, as an example, for the fence convention, here's the ideas I have for these displays, right? And I'm like, here's the one idea, like, what do you think? And he's like, oh, I think about this. And I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. So then they start, like, I just have that for them, and they're like, oh, it's slow. And he's like, yeah, we're already working on this. And then I go back there, and I'm like, it's pretty much like almost done at that point. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I don't think I could have imagined. Now, the problem with me and the way my brain works, which is annoying, is my memory. There's so much shit I just don't remember. And so, like, a lot of times, as far as repeating the same mistakes over and over again, like, all the time. Things that I know I should be doing but don't, there's a list a mile long. There just is. And so it's hard for me to look back and think about that kind of stuff, but yeah, there's no way. There's just no way. And I don't know what happened, why. Like, it wasn't, I really don't think, I think personally, like, if I was a better leader and coach and, you know, developer and stuff like that, I can't imagine where he would be at, to be honest with you. because I'm not the greatest type where, like, you know how you have some of those bosses or, you know, superiors or whatever, that if you've ever had one that's super either encouraging or gets you to completely change the way you either think, or even more importantly, create like an identity shift for you. And maybe that's what it was. I do know, like, because his sister used to work for us and she still does here and there. And, you know, they have said numerous times, between the sister saying it or the girlfriend saying it, or like the sister will be like, hey, my mom's been saying this kind of stuff. But they're like, he's just a completely different person now. And so I hope I had something to do with that. Because that's, again, what makes all this worth it, right? Even though the day-to-day, I always forget about that stuff. So it's I don't know how to keep that in mind more than I do, because it's just completely out, just as, like, as far as thinking about emotions and like all this other kind of stuff, like, it's just not me. And it could be, again, because I talked about it in the past, I haven't been diagnosed with it, but just going based on like the symptoms and everything else, it definitely appears to be that I'm like on the autism spectrum, which does make it hard in numerous ways. And then not even just the autism, but the ADHD, like, that's just another level, which I never thought of as like a big problem. But there's so many issues that come up with it. And actually, that phone call, if Mike ended up leaving it in there, is like, and that phone call was like nothing. But like with the ADD, it's like it affects so many things. Like, it's really rough. But anyway, so long story short, I gotta say, like, number one, the fence calculator, I want to like blow my brain out with it, because like it's just driving me crazy. And I like figuring out the initial stuff of, it's not even figuring out the initial stuff. I like more of like the vision of, hey, I want something that can do this, this, and this. And because a lot of times there's so many different functionalities or things I think of, because there's no limiting beliefs around it. I feel at this point that whatever I want, it's not even just me, but like whatever people want, I believe that anything is possible, really do. And I think you have to have that mentality in order to do these big, crazy things. But like when I look at the Elon Musk or whatever, like, I'm doing absolutely nothing, you know. And that's the other thing. It's like, how can a guy that's worth, I don't even know, hundreds of billions of dollars or whatever the hell he's worth, or trillion or whatever, and running these 6 and 7 multi-billion-dollar companies, and then here I am getting stressed out. Like, it's just crazy. Like, it just is. But I think also it comes down to having the teams and whatnot, which I think that comes with time, and it also comes with how big the company it is, you know, because, and also really it comes down to like the brand as well. What is this car doing? They probably want me to rev my engine. But I think it's also, and they talk about it, is like, it's also the branding of, like, the personal branding, you know. So for someone like Musk, like, you know what you're getting into if you're going to go work for him, especially with the higher up positions, like the executive positions and things like that. And if you know, if you're going to end up being like an engineer or something like that, like, at this point, it's not real. If you go into a job interview and you get hired, and then you're like, oh my God, this guy's calling me at like 10 o'clock at night to come work on a Saturday, and it's not an option, and blah, 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 or whatever happens to be, or like, this guy's fucking crazy. Like, he's legit wants to get to the moon within the next like X amount of like months or days or whatever. Like, it's not really surprising. You know, if you go into that and you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was going to have to work this hard. Like, what have you not been watching even think that there's not going to be a shit ton of hours? Or if it's like, oh my God, I didn't know, like, this dude's fucking crazy. Like, he is not your normal person, right? I shouldn't say fucking crazy. Like, I should say, like, it's just not your typical person. And it's like, I can't believe his demands and blah, 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 and he expects so much and everything else. And it's like, yeah, like, what did you think was going to happen? But it's also like, but on the flip side, he's attracting the people that he needs based on his branding and the way he acts, because he doesn't hide at this point. It doesn't seem, maybe he does hide some shit about himself, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like he's like sugarcoating anything at all. He's not afraid of hurting feelings from what it looks like. You know, it's just like, look, this is the vision, this is what I'm gonna do, and you can either be on my team and help me accomplish it or not. Like, it's one or the other, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you want to work and do this or not. So anyway, that's what I got. Almost home. I don't think there's really much else, but yeah, so that's the whole random thought. And I guess that's why, not I guess, that's why more and more content's gonna be posted by me and things like that, because the goal is hopefully that, you know, this content isn't for everyone, but for the right person. You know, it's at some point, whether it's them or it's like based upon like what I'm trying to accomplish, that maybe it's not for the person that's watching this, like you, but maybe it's like you know someone that happens to be in the area that's looking for a job or looking for a change, whether it's in the industry or not in the industry, but you know what we're trying to accomplish. And maybe I have to do a better job of talking about the vision all the time, doing a better job at talking about the expectations all the time, so that way I can continue to repel the people that are not up for like what I'm looking to do and attract the people that are, you know, because I really, in everything that I do, I just know for myself that my goal is to build the best team I possibly can that wants to like do something really good in the world. You know, that's the goal, like point blank. And like, I kind of just want to be the, I guess it's like within an orchestra, right? So I kind of want to be that conductor that kind of like sets the tone, and everyone, like the different parts. So whether it's the, I don't know, the trombones and the clarinets and the, I don't know, whatever. And everyone's an expert in their particular field, and it's like, look, here's the main vision, that's what we're looking to accomplish. And then the goal is to have the people in the different, you know, the and the percussion and the I don't know, whatever else. That's about all I got for music. And like the different areas are like, all right, in order to accomplish that, we're going to do this and you know, having those people that already know what to do, and then working together and be like, well, what if we do that? What if we do that? And just constantly trying to tweak and improve what we do. You know, that's my ultimate goal, because I don't want to be the one that figures all this stuff out. Like, I don't want to be the one that's building up this freaking fence calculator. But at this point, I know how I am and how I've always been. It's like, I keep on doing it till I get bored and then go to something else. But at this point, I kind of want to keep on doing it, even though it's going to take me longer, because number one, I have people that can help with the other areas of the business. And number two, it's just to prove to myself that I can actually just fucking get it done. Even though it's going to take, you know, originally I'm like, oh, it's going to take a week. Ha! That being said, I just was using, I was looking up to see what programmers use for the help with their stuff. And I was just looking up, and people were suggesting Claude. So I ended up putting that in. It actually seems a lot better. So I feel like we're going in the right direction. But now it's like I'm trying to make it where it's set up in a way that can handle like the future items. So anyway, I just pulled up. My son's got his first basketball game, and apparently he's going a little crazy. So I'm going to go deal with that. Have a great day. Have a great weekend if I don't talk to you again. Bye.